Hello again, everyone. The Snowman here, back talking more World Cup today. It's my final group preview, Group H. I've already talked about the other 7 groups. If you're interested in those previews, please check them out. If you're enjoying my World Cup content, subscribe to the Snowman Sports Media. Give me a thumbs up and follow me on Instagram as well at Snowman Sports Media. But let's focus on Group H, how these 4 nations qualified for the World Cup, the star players to watch out for, the managers, and my expectations for each team. And speaking of the teams, it's an eclectic quartet in Group H. Cristiano Ronaldo and Portugal are the favorites on paper. We also have the quarterfinalists from the 2010 World Cup, Ghana, the team that played them in those quarters, Uruguay, the 2-time World Cup champions, and then South Korea into their 10th consecutive World Cup. That's the longest streak in this group. And let's start off with the big boys in this group. Portugal, a bit unlucky in UEFA qualifying. They hardly put a foot wrong the entire time in Group A. They drew Serbia on match day 2, but essentially it was one win after the other. They seemed to shoe in to win the group and enter their 6th straight World Cup. All they needed was a draw versus Serbia in Lisbon on the final match day. Renato Sanchez put the Portuguese ahead in the 2nd minute, but eventually the Serbians clawed back. Alexander Mitrovic with the winner in the 90th minute to send Portugal packing into the UEFA playoff. From there, they dispatched an untidy Turkish side rather easily, and thanks to North Macedonia pulling off the Cinderella upset over Italy, Portugal's path was much clearer. Bruno Fernandes scoring twice to send the boys through to Qatar, making the most of their second chance. For star player, there's a lot of fun choices. Diogo Jota is out with a calf injury, but they still have some really exciting attacking options like Joao Felix, Bernardo Silva, Bruno Fernandes. Of course, the go-to man, though, still Cristiano Ronaldo, even at age 37. Ronaldo's looking to make history as the first player to score at 5 different World Cups. He's the 2nd oldest outfield player in the Premier League, but still fit as a fiddle and has that hunger. The all-time leading scorer in the history of international football. Cristiano looking to add to his 7 World Cup goals and take his nation even further than their 4th place finish he helped achieve in 2006. Portugal's manager is a mainstay in the global game, Fernando Santos, a very familiar face. Only Didier Deschamps with France has been around longer in terms of European coaches at this World Cup. Santos knows this Portugal squad inside and out, has been through it all, guiding them to European glory back in 2016, as well as a UEFA Nations League title in 2019. Also coached the Greek national team before Portugal from 2010 to 2014. My expectations for Portugal within Group H, it's probably the toughest group to predict. The Iberians aren't massive group favorites like we see with Brazil, France, or Argentina. Their current form isn't the best, lost a couple of recent Nations League games to Spain and Switzerland, but Portugal should have enough ammo in the chamber to win this group, or at the very least finish top 2. We saw it at Euro 2016. Sometimes Portugal likes to work their way into tournaments. They tend to get better the further they progress. I think the quarterfinals is about what you can expect from them. Semifinals would be the ceiling this winter. Next up, let's go to South America and talk about Uruguay. Like Portugal, they bring some aging star power to these World Cup finals. Uruguay finished in 3rd place in CONMEBOL qualifying, an 0-4 record versus Brazil and Argentina, but excellent against the rest of the field. They surged to a strong finish with 4 straight wins to cap the campaign and book their ticket to a 4th straight World Cup and 14th overall. Not the most impressive goal differential, 22 goals scored, 22 conceded. You might have guessed the great striker Luis Suarez led Uruguay during qualifying with 8 goals. Only Marcelo Moreno of Bolivia had more in South America. Suarez, the all-time leading goal scorer for his national team. And yes, we always have to mention the 2 living legends with Uruguay, Suarez and Edison Cavani. They've been the heartbeat of this team for about 15 years. Another key player I want to highlight, though, is Federico Valverde, a 24-year-old midfielder for Real Madrid who's the future and the present for Uruguay. More than ready to contribute on the world stage, Valverde is a versatile player known for his pace, his stamina, and work rate. Can play in so many areas of the pitch, central midfield, as a winger, even as a fullback. Valverde gives his side a lot of bite and energy in the center of the pitch. Uruguay's manager is 47-year-old former striker Diego Alonso. Alonso taking over for longtime head coach Oscar Tabarez, who managed Uruguay from 2006 to 2021. Alonso has provided his team with an injection of fresh blood and new life. They won their last 4 qualifying matches under his guidance before managing the national team team. Alonso coached all over Latin America as well as Inter Miami in the MLS for the last couple of seasons. Expectation time. I love the rematches on tap in Group H. We've got Uruguay against Portugal. The South Americans recently won in the round of 16 at the 2018 World Cup. And even bigger than that, Uruguay versus Ghana in the 2010 quarterfinals. The Luis Suarez handball game that deflated an entire continent. Uruguay still has a lot of holdovers from those matches. Guys like Godin, Caceres, Muslera, a very experienced bunch who has to at least advance out of the group to consider Qatar a success. I see them likely as a round of 16 team. The problem is if you finish second in Group H, you'll probably play Brazil in the next round, and that could be where Uruguay's journey ends. Turning our attention now to Ghana, one of 3 African nations to have made the World Cup quarterfinals. They come in somewhat under the radar after a qualifying run where they barely squeaked by. In a second round group with the 2010 host South Africa, they delivered a blow to Ghana's hopes on match day 2 with a 1-0 victory in Johannesburg, but the Black Stars bounced back. Ghana would need a win in the rematch versus South Africa on the final match day, and Andre Ayew buried a penalty after a controversial call, and the Ghanaians advanced into the African playoff. From there, it was a home-and-home battle against Nigeria, a nation who had qualified for 6 of the past 7 World Cups. First leg 0-0, second leg 1-1. Thomas Partey, the goal scorer as Ghana advances due to the away goals tiebreaker and back into the World Cup. Let's stick with Partey as their key player, one of the most technically sound players on this team. The captain Andre Ayew might be more well known. He plays domestically in Qatar and will be instrumental too, but Partey has been a big reason for Arsenal's super start this season. Played for Atletico Madrid from 2015 to 2020, was Ghana's all-time most expensive transfer when he went to the Gunners a couple of years ago. A 2-time Ghana Player of the Year. The 29-year-old midfielder is aggressive on and off the ball, very fast, great stamina. Partey awesome at giving his center backs extra protection, but also picking out passes for teammates further up the pitch. Like Uruguay, Ghana has a relatively new manager, Otto Addo, just appointed in February of 2022. The former manager Milovan Rajovic, who also led them to success at the 2010 World Cup, he was dismissed for a poor showing at the African Cup of Nations. So Addo, the new man for the job, he helped Ghana qualify right away. A former winger, has a lot of playing and coaching experience in Germany with clubs like Borussia Dortmund, Hamburg, and Mainz. Predictions for Ghana: they've got the worst odds to win Group H, about 12-1. I think if they win any of these 3 group matches, or better yet, advance to the knockout round, it'll be a huge success. Couple areas I'm worried about with the Ghanaians: overall youth, just not a ton of experience outside of the Ayew brothers, and then the defensive line, not as formidable a unit as the others in this group. They've got one more friendly against Switzerland to get things right before the tournament begins. Again, I respect the history of the Black Stars, but I do see them finishing in 4th place in Group H. Last but not least, let's talk about South Korea and how they qualified for Qatar 2022. The Koreans had an impressive run throughout Asian qualifying. In the second round, 22 goals scored and just 1 goal given up, undefeated in 6 matches. That advanced them into the 3rd round, where they finished 2nd place behind Iran. A nearly impeccable defensive record the whole way through, just 4 goals conceded in 16 games. Unfortunately, their superstar forward, who led them in scoring throughout qualifying, Tottenham's Son Heung-min, is likely to miss the World Cup due to a fractured eye injury. That does put a damper on Korea Republic's spirits, but nonetheless, they'll be trying to reach the knockout stage for the first time since 2010. Key player, the obvious choice would have been Son Heung-min. He's one of the most prolific goal scorers in the Premier League in the entire world, but with his health in question, I'm turning to Kim Min-jae, a center back who's a large part of that stellar defensive record for South Korea. He helps keep things very organized in the back. Kim Min-jae, 25 years of age, plays for Napoli in Italy, injured a month before the 2018 World Cup, so he couldn't play in Russia, but Kim Min-jae, a very physically gifted player, strong, quick, flexible, great anticipation skills in defense, and then has the ability to spring forward long passes and be the catalyst for counterattacks. Another fun storyline in this group is that South Korea's manager is Portuguese, and the former Portugal national team coach Paulo Bento, he'll be up against Cristiano and some of his former players in this group. Bento is a former midfielder, the manager of South Korea since 2018. Before that, he took Portugal to the semis of Euro 2012, where they narrowly lost to eventual champs Spain in penalties. Not as much fun at the 2014 World Cup, when his nation flamed out in in the group stage. And without Sun Heung-min, you'd be hard-pressed to find a lot of Korean supporters with high hopes who believe this squad can make it out of Group H. This isn't the team that came in 4th place as hosts back in 2002. Yes, they play compact, smart, team-oriented football. They'll be relatively difficult to break down, but South Korea severely lacks star power, in my opinion. They lack game changers, guys who can come in and change the fabric of a match. They're a country who has at least one win in 4 of the last 5 World Cups. That second group game against Ghana will be pivotal as Korea looks to survive and advance. Thanks a lot for watching my Group H preview. Please leave a comment. Let me know who you think wins this group, what you agreed with or disagreed with about my analysis. Subscribe to the Snowman Sports Media for more World Cup content. Be on the lookout for my World Cup predictions video. Lots more soccer and football fun coming soon. Cheers.